is up, you guys? Welcome back to the Best Foot Forward podcast. It's me, Vic from Sailor Vic, and I have with me
Ann Duskus of Studio Duskus. Welcome.
Woo-hoo! And we're back.
We're back.
Oh my gosh. Ann, what do we want to talk about today?
I'm overthinking this. Am I?
Don't overthink it.
Okay, that's our topic.
Yeah.
Literally, that's our topic today.
Yeah.
How often do we overthink?
Oh my gosh, everything.
Okay, I'm screaming again.
Every little thing. Yeah. We're just like,
why are we overthinking?
yeah.
I mean, is it just you and me, or is that a thing?
I don't know. Is that something that everybody does? I feel like it's very common, but then it could just be like our personality types. Like we tend to overthink things.
I'm trying to like get a feel of like what it was like for me when I was younger. Like have I always been like this, or have I gotten better or worse as I've gotten older?
Yeah.
And like maybe you're right. Maybe it's like a very inherent thing. And like so my mom is an overthinker.
A serial overthinker. Mm-hmm.
And maybe is it an Asian woman trait?
Oh my gosh, maybe.
Is that a cultural thing? Like, are we trained this way? Were we born this way?
I mean, I think my mom is too. So I get it from my mom as well. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
What is it though? Like, is it the need to like, get things done in a certain way, or like, why do we overthink things? And do you overthink things only at work, or do you overthink things in your personal life as well?
So let me ask you this, Vicky. Do you think I overthink at work?
Sometimes.
So interesting.
I think you have certain projects where you overthink, and you have certain projects where you know exactly where you want to go. Even if you don't have it, like, so we talked about this recently, how I usually will do a mock-up, of what I'm doing. And Anne is typically someone who, like, I've seen you try to do a mock-up, and then you're like, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to make it up as I go. Yeah, let's just
we'll figure it out.
Yeah. And so, to that extent, I feel like you know what you want to do, and so you don't overthink it. But sometimes you overthink it. And in a recent project, it's like there's a lot of thinking. There's a lot of thinking more recently.
Yeah. It's very interesting because when I literally was having this conversation with an old friend yesterday, and about my time, like when I was designing for like a corporate company, for a brand, and like the volume of our work is like really high. And so like I think like at that time on the team, like each designer was designing anywhere from like 40 to like 75 SKUs per season. That's crazy. Which is insane. It's like insane.
Per season,
right? And maybe like half of that gets adopted, right? And so the time typically that's given to us, like only maybe 10% of our time is spent designing. And so the rest of the time is kind of like product development, right? And so because we were given such limited time, like we weren't really given the luxury to overthink. We just have to make quick decisions and go. And then if it doesn't work, then we'll fix it later, like at a later time.
Yeah.
But you, like, again, like you, in order to meet your deadlines, be productive, it's just like making decisions, like hundreds and hundreds of decisions we have to make.
So you don't like overthink any of that. Like,
yeah.
If you have to, like, let's say, this many are due, like you don't ever find yourself, overthinking the designs that you have to do.
Yeah. Like you can't. And so even like, even as like picking Pantone colors, like there are some prints where we have to pick like there are 4 color prints, but there are also like 10 color prints, and like You get to a place where like your eyes are just not seeing like the colors
decision
anymore.
paralysis.
Right.
Like you cannot.
Right. So you just like, these two shade looks the same, let's just pick one and go.
Yeah.
You know? And then, but then the way it translates doesn't always translate like on leather, on a thread, on a fabric. They all translate a little differently. And so it's like, but again, it's like, you don't have time to think, you just have to go, you know? And so
Interesting.
So it's kind of like, there's this saying about like how good designers are really quick decision makers.
Yes.
You know? And I think you and I have sort of experience that like when the less we overthink, the result tends to be
better.
Right, which is like really like, it seems counterproductive or counterintuitive, but it time and time again is proven to us that's like how it works.
Yeah. We just have to crack the code on how to not overthink.
Yeah.
You know? How to just be like, no, just keep going, you know?
And it's interesting because when I was designing professionally, like, so yes, like designers are given the liberty to sort of like, again, create, right? For the demographic based on what they know about the demographic. But they're typically, like, we're typically handed like a design brief from our product managers, right? And so part of that helps us remove the overthinking, like, because they're asking us for a specific type of style.
Right.
But then we just have to put our interpretation on that sort of silhouette that they're asking, based on like trend research and stuff like that. And so like in professional setting, like a lot of places where I would tend to overthink, like it's like removed.
There's no room for it.
Right.
Okay.
And then, but then now that I'm like running my own studio, like I feel like it's a little different because I get to do whatever the hell I want. I get to give myself the brief. I get to, I mean, granted, like with clients, it's a little different, but like when I'm working on like just like fun conceptual projects, like again, because the world is my oyster, I can do whatever the heck I want. Now I'm kind of like, what I do?
What should I do? Yeah. So is it not having, you know, someone give you the deadline and the brief and all of that maybe makes you overthink what you should be doing?
Yes and no, because I feel like I'm also decently good at like giving myself the deadline, right? Be disciplined about things. If like this is what I want to do and I want to get it done by then, like I'll get it done, right? Yeah. But I think maybe it's more like I start to overthink when I feel like I'm in between projects where I'm in transition, and sometimes like I don't have the discipline to like prioritize, you know, like what's most important in the moment,
right?
You know, because like we all want to do the fun stuff, you know.
Yep.
But like we all have to do the boring stuff.
Before you can do the fun stuff. I know.
Vicky, you know.
I know.
You know. So yeah. So I think like I noticed that like running my own show I've definitely spent more time overthinking than working for somebody else. For better or for worse, like it's not like bad, right? But can I be more productive if I stop overthinking so much? You know?
Can I ask you now, backtracking a little bit, when you have to do so many designs in a short period of time, what is like the feedback like? So like, does somebody tell you like, oh, you know, if like this proportion of your designs are like accepted and actually like, you know, made into products, does that mean like you're a better performer, or does that like, how are they, let's say, quote unquote, grading you in how you're doing? Yeah.
So typically like, they'll give you like, okay, so we have a SKU count, right? A target count, right? So, but sometimes it's not always like, I want 60 original designs, like they all need to look different. Sometimes it's like
variations of
right
right.
of a similar design, or sometimes it's like a colorway, right? So like, okay, so for this design, like we want to do 4 colors or 5 colors, you know, and then so that adds to the SKU, right? So now you go from like 65 to 60 to 65 because in this particular style you want like 5 different colorways, right? And then so that's 5 different type of like materialization, especially in leather goods. You know, it's not the same article that can be shared like in 5 different colorways,
right?
You know, and so oftentimes like we'll sample and sometimes like you're kind of sampling blind, right? Because like by now it's like, you know, everybody on the team is like experienced enough to kind of like visualize like what this might look like in a sample, right? But sometimes it comes in and you're trying new combinations of like, okay, well, I want this color article, but then I want to try this color heel or, you know, this different welt or whatever it is. And then it comes in, you're like, doesn't look good, you know? And so oftentimes, like when it's cut, like it's not a reflection of you, but it's really more of a reflection of like, they always like sort of like over skew because they always err on the side of like, let's have more product that we can choose from than not enough.
Right.
And so like we don't really think about like if our product gets cut, like it's. And I think that's where I learned early on in my design career. It's like, it's not personal. It's really all number driven and business driven. And so, yeah, it's fine.
Okay. And then, so then the follow up for that is like, does that change when you're working in a company, you know, in the professional setting where it's not personal, but then when you're doing your own, you know, Studio Duskus work, like then it becomes, there is a little bit more of a personal aspect to it where it's like, this is like, I'm showing the world my designs, you know, this is like representative of me and the work that I'm capable of doing. Then does it become a little bit more like I gotta think about this a little bit more?
Yo, okay, this is so interesting because that's such an interesting good question actually, because when you design for a brand, nobody knows who's designing it. It's a team of designers that designs the product.
There's no name attached,
right?
Like
it's the brand that's attached to your product.
And even like your aesthetic that you're going for, like you were designing cowboy boots, you're not going to go and design like what your cowboy boot wants to look like. It's going to be like what is brand
it's going to be on brand, right? Exactly. And so I think in a weird way it takes the pressure off of you as a designer because you're collectively designing for this brand. And now that we're individual creators, like we put ourselves and our work out there, like people, like, you know, so it's like I'm showing you that I designed this and I made this. And I'm not hiding behind a brand name.
I mean, it's directly attached to you as a person, right?
Right. It's like D2C, you know, versus like business to consumer, you know? And so I'm like, so I feel like in a weird way, like if you haven't listened to our confidence like episode yet, I feel like that's a good one to dissect because I feel like you almost have to just like own it, like have enough confidence to own this is who you are, this is who you are as a creator, and if you want to like if you want people to like look your way and whether they like you or not, you just kind of have to put your stake in the ground, you know, and like own it, right? And so I will have to get into this in another episode, but I think it's just like having enough confidence to just like kind of let go of like what you think people might feel about you and your product, and like being true to yourself as like an artist, and not allow like again like what the results might be to like affect you and how you might like present yourself, and that like that's all overthinking. I think
it's all part of overthinking.
Right? Yeah.
Because like especially like I remember if you're like coming up with a shoe, you know, it's like, oh, but that's been done before.
Yeah.
Oh, that looks too much like this brand or that brand, you know, or, oh, like, you know, somebody's done this similar design. Like one of the very first things that we always do is like do a quick Google search, you know, has this been done before? If it's done, like, we don't have to do it, you know, and always trying to like outdo yourself. Right. And
whereas
like,
if it's been done, like, how can we do it better?
And how can we do it like differently in our own style, you know? And so there's like all of that. And I just feel like that's really interesting. I think when you're trying to do something that is representative of your own brand, there's a lot more room for overthinking versus like, you know, if there's a brief already, if it's a project, you know, sometimes those guidelines, sometimes we hate them because they limit our creativity. Right. Yep. And it's like, okay, you only want me to do this, but I want to kind of do something outside of it. Yeah. But then it kind of, it gives you less room to play. And so there's less overthinking because it's like, well, anything else that I want to do is outside the realm of like possibility anyways. So I'm not going to think about that. I'm only going to think about things that I can control, like the variables that I can control, you know? Yeah.
Okay, so from a client perspective, Vicky, let's talk about this because I think like from our experience, and maybe from your most recent experience, it's like, would you say that there are some clients who don't really know what they want until they see it?
I mean, that's a lot of them. I would say majority of them. Like,
right?
Even like clients that, you know, approach both of us, they'll come in and be like, I think that you should do this. You should do A, B, and C. And usually it's up to us to be like, you know what? We can actually do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and then also all the way to Z, you know? And it's like, it's just about like, it's kind of weird. We always say this, like, we think what we put out, like, people know exactly what's going through our mind, what we're capable of. Like, can't you see? Like, look at our Instagram, you know, like, look at all the things that we can do. Like, why would you limit yourself to this one thing? You know, it's like, for example, if somebody came up to me and was like, oh, can you just like make this logo on a shoe? And it's like a stencil art. And it's like, do you even understand what I'm capable of? And I would charge you the exact same amount because it's going to take me probably as much time or, you know, disdain from wanting to do it. I'm going to charge you the same amount, but like it could be limitless, you know? Yeah. Like you could do so much more. So it really is about having that conversation with a client and then seeing how far, you know, the client's going to push back and then you're going to push forward a little bit. So like how much nudging room is there? Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Which is kind of interesting. It is. I always try to like sneak in. It's very bad, but like I always try to sneak in something that, you know, maybe we don't necessarily like discuss, but I know I can push my boundaries a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, and you talk to your clients enough to kind of know how much room you have to play. Yes. And like you have that sort of sensibility to make that judgment for yourself.
And like how often is it with a client where they like give you full creative liberty, like freedom to do whatever, that it's full, you know, like with a corporate client, you know, it's never full, you know, so.
Corporate clients are hard, honestly. They are. Like my private clients are amazing. And obviously like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get canceled for saying this. Like I'm very like, okay, I'm going to own it. Like I'm very selective with the clients that I take, the private one-on-one clients I take
That's just the truth. Yeah.
Yeah. And like of the ones that I've taken on, like I, again, like so blessed to have clients who trust me like 100% to just give me the creative freedom to help build a product that best suits them. Yeah. And granted, like we take a lot of time, like we spend a lot of time together to like really talk about like, you know, we're like get to know the person, the client, you know? So like, I know like to what degree I can play as well, you know? And so like in a weird way, on a positive note, right? Like that's where I really enjoy the overthinking because I feel like, and maybe you can attest to this, Vicky, because I know how you work and I've seen your work, and it's like we love overthinking in the sense that like how can we do something to delight this client that in a way that they least expected.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I really kind of enjoy that.
I like that aspect of overthinking, especially for you. I feel like so many projects you've done, you've like hidden like little details that only the person wearing the shoe, only the person who actually like owns the shoe and unboxes it would appreciate or even see. You know, it's not necessarily something that if you took a picture of it or if you saw someone walking down the street, they would know. But like that's where I think like your product is so special, you know, as like part of the full experience. Yeah. And like, you know, that goes to show too, like I think I've seen you work with private clients and it becomes a very almost like personal experience because you almost like, and I think you've said this to me before, where you almost become like friends with them. You know, you communicate a lot, but in a way that, you know, you sort of know what they like, you know, something that only they have shared with you, that you wouldn't just put on anybody's shoe, you know? And so like all of those little things, I think like definitely that's where overthinking shines.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then let's talk about like how do you snap out of overthinking?
Aside from like us yelling at each other from across the room.
It's like,
like
Vicky,
stop it.
You have no time. Like move on with your life.
Just go.
But like if I wasn't there or if you weren't there for me, like what do you like? Is there a practice that you have?
I think it's like stepping away from it, right? I mean, that's our solution for a lot of things is like taking time off. Because I remember when I was doing my ice cream collab. So I was working with like a shoelace company. We were doing this like ice cream collection at the time. And the whole sneaker part of it was so easy. It came like, it was like plucking it from my brain and putting it on a piece of paper. It was so easy.
Natural, effortless.
So natural. And then last minute they added this aspect where they were like, oh, can you also design a t-shirt? Because we want to print a t-shirt for this collab. You know, it's going to be a whole like, you know, it's going to be a whole like sneaker, collection, shoelace, the collection, shoelaces, t-shirt, and sweater and stuff. And I was just so caught off guard. I did so many iterations. And you know when you usually like you're sketching, you usually send like the one that's like the best or the one that you're happy with to the client. I sent them all. Like I was like, is this one okay? I don't know. Is this one okay? Like you could tell from the other end. And it was very, you know, I guess unprofessional at that time, but I was very like new to it, you know? And I think that happens a lot when I send more than one mock-up at a time. If you're like, okay, here's option A, and here's option B, and here's option C, choose from the thing.
You just get A and B.
Right? Yeah, just get A and B, or you just get A.
Yeah.
Right? And if you don't like it, like B is in my back pocket, but you don't need to see it because A is the one that I'm the most confident in doing, you know? So there has been that sort of growth in me and just sending that one. You know, where I'm not like, here are all the options that I can do. I can do all of them, whichever one you like. You just let me know, you know, like kind of like that attitude versus, you know, this is my best work. This is what I think is best for the project, you know? So, yeah, I don't know. This is a very like long-winded answer to walking away. Basically, you know, coming back to that is like walking away from the t-shirt design and then basically coming back to see like which one truly like sparks joy and then eliminating everything else that's just noise, that's just like you compensating for something that you think is not right.
Okay, sounds like, again, go back and listen to the confidence episode because it sounds like okay, let's tell our audience like how long ago was this collab?
This collab was maybe like almost 3 years ago. It was like pretty early on. Yeah, almost 3 years ago.
And then so the you now 3 years, fast forward 3 years, right? Like you have now like build a business, build a reputation.
Thank you. That's very nice of you to say.
No, for real. And you know, you have a following, and so you've worked on some like really kick-ass projects, and all of that sort of has helped you build your confidence to where like I don't have to overthink this anymore, would you say?
Yeah, I try. I mean, yeah, most of the time until, you know, the next time I'm out of my comfort zone. And then, but, you know, I welcome that. I think that's That's the fun.
Yeah, I mean,
and like, okay, well,
when you start feeling comfortable though, that's when you stop growing.
Yes, exactly.
Right? And
exactly.
so
overthinking is like part of that, though.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm in my most uncomfortable, you know, position, that's when I overthink the most. And like, would you say though that happens with you too? Because it's like, okay, even this like new project is a huge project. There are so many moving parts.
Which one
and
are you
like,
talking about?
That one.
The high one?
Yeah, the super high one.
That one.
Yes,
okay,
that
okay.
one. You know, where it's like you sit there and you're just like,
sorry, listeners. Like, if you're
sketching.
Listening, we're like being very cryptic right now because.
Oh my gosh, you are going to see. Keep your eyes on this space.
Oh my gosh, you're so sweet.
But like, because there's so much you can do, and there's like, you know, it's like. The base of the project itself is already complicated enough, but then you're like, oh, but I want to add the and spin to it, you know, the magic touch, you know?
You kind of have to.
You kind of have to. I don't blame you for that. But then, like, it's like, oh, but I could add this, but then I could do this, but then I could do this, you know? And it's like, when do you stop? Like, when do you know what's, like, good enough? Like, are we ever satisfied with,
I'm
you
like,
know?
you don't stop.
Because, like, we're always like, oh, we can do more. Like, you know, I remember your removable tongue project, right? Yeah. It was like, oh, we're just like, I'm gonna do a removable tongue, and of course, like, you know, I'm sitting there, I'm like, that is amazing, that is incredible, and then you're like, I'm not gonna do one, I'm gonna do 3, and I'm like, oh my god, this girl's allergic to easy. Yeah. But like, I mean, we thrive in that, but again, it's like how like when do you stop the overthinking? Overthinking is good to a certain extent, and then what is it that kind of kicks you into like, we gotta go, like, let's get started?
I mean a prime example though will be, if you guys haven't seen it, it's on my Instagram grid. It's that one outsole that I've been sculpting, and I even did a reel about it. I was like, I'm on my 5th round of it, like sanding and patching it. Like, I need to just move on with my life. You know, it's just like, it's consumed so much of my time, and I think for me, mostly like I'm ready to move on when I feel like I'm starting to become unproductive. You know, but then sometimes it takes me too long to get there, and I'm like, okay. Yeah.
But is that something that's just, again, like, is that because that's something that you haven't done before, you know? So then it's going to consume more time. It's going to take more. And, you know, at the same time, you're learning all of those things as well. So it feels like you're unproductive, but you're learning to do so many things yourself, like casting, like, you know, building all of that and doing the research and learning and educating yourself on how to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
That all takes time, babe.
I do love learning.
Yeah. And, like, I feel like because we're in this entrepreneurial, you know, what do you call it? Like pursuit, we don't give ourselves that time off to, whereas, like, you know, when you're working, it's like, oh, I can take a course, you know, after work, or I can take some time off to do this. But it's like, we don't give ourselves credit for that. Doing what we do, you know?
Okay. Can we share with our listeners how funny this is, because it happened to the both of us in like the span of like the last few days. So you're working on this project that you just completed, and remember when, like, right before, like there was this like design that you have to hand paint, and then you were just like procrastinating, like
you called
putting
me
it
out
off,
on it.
and I was like, but then maybe that's part of like the process of overthinking, right? It's like, why am I procrastinating? Am I overthinking this? Like, I know I can do this, but like I don't want to do it, and like I have time, but then am I gonna run out of time? You know, so then I saw what was like happening.
You were watching me. You were just
I was like,
when is she going to paint
like,
that part?
Can
you know,
you just like you should just do it.
Right.
And then same thing with me. You know, you saw like me like kind of going through the same thing. It's like, you just do it.
I know, like feeling a little impatient from the outside.
Yeah.
But I think like, yeah, I mean, and then, you know, at the end of the day, it was like, it's totally doable, right? Both of our things, right? Like, my part was very doable. That is what I do best. I don't know why I procrastinated and like left it till the very end. Yeah. But, you know, and same with you, right? It's like, we know you can do it, you know? And it's just like it's like, come on, like, when are you going to move on from doing that? But yeah.
So all that is to say, if you're overthinking it, you are not alone. We all go through phases, and sometimes it takes us so long to step out of it. I feel very blessed to have you in the studio with me, and gonna be sad if that changes. But yeah, it's nice to sort of have like someone to kind of be like, hey, girl, like, it's, you know,
but like gentle nudging, not like a. Always. It's never like a, you know, why are you taking so long?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But it's nice to have like somebody there who understands your process. And yeah, so like I would encourage like all of you, if you're in this space, if you're customizing, if you're working on a project, you know, just find that accountability partner, you know, to help you snap out of your like stages and phases of overthinking, because like we all go through it. Yeah.
And sometimes it's just like a simple like check in on yourself. Like, hey, am I overthinking? Am I thinking too much? Should I be doing more and thinking less?
Yeah. And I think it helps me too, honestly, like when I start to have that awareness that I am in an overthinking phase, to kind of self-reflect on like my successes when I wasn't overthinking.
When you were, yes, exactly, you know? Exactly.
So that's always very helpful. And so again, for those of you maybe who also like post your work on IG or on YouTube, like go back and look at your stuff, you know, and like look at the content where you got lots of comments and likes, and then and like think about how much effort you put into that work.
Can I also say something though? And I'm going to get canceled for this. You know, the reel that goes around that's just like, here is some like low effort content because, you know, like IG promote, you know, whatever, the algorithm. And like, I don't care. I'm just going to post it because IG likes this types of posts, right? Just two things. Like I am someone who appreciates like work that's been put into content. And I think like, you know, there are examples of it, even like yours, even if it's like low effort, if you know that the product took very long to make, that's different from just like, oh, here's like me doing two things and then here is it going viral. Like, I really don't care for those things. I look at it, I'm like, swipe, you know? Whereas like, if you have a finished product, but like, you know, maybe you've spent so much time making that thing, and then at the end when you're showing it off, it's like kind of, it's like, oh, this is the last stretch and I kind of don't want to set up a whole thing to film it. I like that. I don't like the crappy content like at the end of the day, because now like I have like not scrolled Instagram for a really long time. I've taken like a huge break from it. When I go on, it's almost like no BS. Like, don't give me this like low quality stuff. I don't care for that. I'm like, no, put your work in, work hard. But I also understand, like, people can tell. I feel like I'm that selective type.
Episode. Yeah. Okay, wait. Okay. Is that no, okay.
Because come off as a bee.
No. Because I mean, do you feel this way because you are a content creator yourself, right? Because if you take a step back, and for somebody who's not a content creator, who doesn't create a product, who doesn't like record what they're making, edit the footage that they recorded of what they're making, and then select the music as they're posting on social, like to go with the product, you know, whatever footage they filmed. And then, you know, like, because you understand sort of
what it
behind
takes.
the scenes, like what it takes to get to this like final like put together like reel or video, that like you're now in a position to say, you know what, like I see you put no effort into this, like I am not like
I'm
gonna
just
waste my time on
and
your
I mean everyone has
video.
like their own, you know, you have your own right to be like, I like this content, I don't like this content. I'm just saying personally, when I see like one of the Instagram accounts that I like more recently followed is this lady who takes pictures of her family and then she photoshops this entire like fairy tale setting around it. The entire thing is like basically a painting. It takes like 50 hours on Photoshop to just like paint in lines and like all that stuff. And then she posts a video. I'm like, yes. I'm obsessed with that kind of work. So just personally, as like a personal preference, I love it when I see quality content. I don't care how long it takes. It's like just quality content that does it for me versus like kind of crappy content. I don't really care for you. Like swipe. So yeah, I can't say I'm not biased because this is what we do. Yeah. But like I appreciate it so much more when people like actually put the time into it and like, because I know how long it takes.
Okay, but then remember there's that like, okay, now we're going down a rabbit hole.
All the real
Wait,
trends.
no, actually, no, we just need to save this for the next episode. Okay. But
oh my gosh, we should do an episode on like real trends that we like hate and love.
Oh my gosh, we should.
You've seen the Wes Anderson one that's been going on lately.
I kind of understand it, but I don't understand it.
I understand it, but I'm
wow,
like,
that's so much work.
Do I do it? No,
don't do it. The trend has sailed.
I know. That's what I think too. Yeah. So I'm like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, easy. We can do that in the studio. And then it's like, it's been 3 weeks.
Yeah, no.
Cannot. Yeah.
I mean, if we want to do it, we should do it. But I'm just saying, it's like, okay.
No, I'm kind of like lukewarm about it now.
Okay. But oh my God. But yes, so overthinking.
Yeah, you see, whole episode. This is like very apt.
Oh my God. Yes, thank you so much for joining us today. If you like this episode, please give us a rating. It really helps other people find our content.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Great. You totally didn't overthink that.
Oh my God.
Okay, anyways, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye. That's perfect.
That was crazy. Oh my God.
I was like, oh, you wrapped that up.